Alright, hey guys, we're here to talk about 6 freaking awesome bouncer tactics. These are really important. If you're old hat at this stuff, you're gonna not find too much useful. It's stuff you know, but you just don't know you know it. It's kind of like body language. First thing I want to talk about is going cop. Now, if you pay attention to police and law enforcement officials, they have a very good grasp around body language. They always have an attitude and an air about them of "don't fuck with me." And that's a very good air to have, and so we're going to work on that today. Uh, what they do, and if you watch them, you'll just notice that they start to take up a little bit more space. They start to stand a little bit wider. If they're going to cross their arms, they're going to kind of stand up with their back straight. They're going to be taller, okay? Taller and wider. That's what you're looking to do. Take up a little bit more space. Don't make it awkward. If you make it awkward, it's gonna be awkward rather than be authoritative, and that's not what you want. Okay. Now, specifically, when I say going cop, what I mean is that you take a little bit wider stance and you get your hands up. Now, police, they typically hang out here, and that's so they can get to their weapons quickly and do what they need to that way. We don't really have weapons, so for you instead, I'd rather have your hands up and facing out, okay? This is doing two important things. It's communicating I'm not a threat. It's also implying a lot of reasonableness. If you watch, great public speakers, they always talk a lot with their hands. Very good things. But if the guy you're trying to talk down decides to take a swing, well, you can react and block yourself very well because your hands are up higher than, say, being down here, right? So when you're going cop, you're trying to talk someone down. That's what I mean. Bringing in an opponent, you want to kind of, hey, calm down, or else we'll kick you out. Take it down a notch, or something like that, right? So you're protecting yourself, but you're also kind of being very authoritative. Your voice is very strong. Your phrases should be short. Calm down, or we'll kick you out, right? Do this, or consequence, right? Very quick, very easy. Strong voice. Also, when you're going cop, if you think a fight might be on, start focusing on your breathing. Make it very deep. Okay, that's going to keep you calm. That's going to mean you can react correctly for when the fight does happen. As bouncers, we're generally watching the crowd, and that means that you can oftentimes stop a fight before it even begins just by moving over. But how do you recognize a fight in the first place? Typically, you'll notice people start to have words, and maybe, okay, if they're getting rowdy and like this, okay, they're probably fine. It's when they start turning and squaring up with each other. That's typically a bad sign, okay? Let's move a little bit. Yeah. That's typically a bad sign. It means they're trying to use their size to intimidate each other. This is the next bad sign. Nice wide arms, like, you want to fucking go? Getting up in his face, okay? Those are very bad signs. But if you can, you want to jump in before that, okay? So as a bouncer, what you would do is, okay, so we're sitting here, maybe we're starting to shove or something, you want to jump in immediately in between them. So pretend there's another guy here. I'm going to jump in and focus on the aggressive one, okay? Now, if this would be the guy starting the fight or whatever, the other guy that's back there, he might take a swing at me. Trust the rest of your team to handle him. Or because you selected the most aggressive one, you'll probably be okay anyway. He doesn't really want to fight, right? Now, when you're doing this, you want to get your arm on them for a little bit of control. Your other hand stays up and calm the fuck down, okay? Very authoritative, very commanding. The big important thing here is that you're breaking the line of sight, all right? I kind of hate to make this comparison, but we're very similar to cats and dogs. And if you want to stop a cat and a dog from fighting, or a dog and a dog from fighting, what you need to do is break their line of sight. It lets them calm down a little bit. We're not that different. When you get in the aggressive one's face, it breaks his line of sight, it gets him to focus on you, and it means that you have a much greater chance of talking him down because he's going to have a chance to calm down. Now, of course, you do need to be aware that he might take a swing at you. So that brings us to our third point, when talking fails, okay? There's three main signs that we know for when an untrained person will be overpassed and gone, unable to be talked down. He's in primal mode. He's just thinking, hit and preserve my ego, right? He's not thinking smart. He's not thinking about consequences. He's not thinking anything. First sign is that he's going to start loosening clothes. Maybe he takes off his jacket. The idea here is to get lighter because he's preparing for a fight and his body subconsciously wants to be lighter so it can move faster. So he might take off his jacket, in certain situations he might rip off his shirt, all sorts of things like that. That's one sign. He also will start kind of neck stretching, kind of called a chicken dance by some people. That's the second bad sign. And then the third, short phrases. A lot of people think it's one word, but what we see most of the time is short phrases. So, you know, you want to fucking go, you want to fucking go, you want to get you want to get hit, you know, something like that, stuff like that. Okay, any one of those signs might mean he's gone. You can't talk him down, so it's time to act. Okay. So we talked about going cop. Talked about breaking line of sight. So now it's time to kick a guy out. All right. Okay. Now most of the time when we kick a guy out, we do want to do it as a team. So there's two guys for every person we're trying to kick out. So that's what we're going to go through first. To kick out a guy as a team, you're going to get one arm underneath here. It's called an underhook, nice and tight and controlled. The other hand here, and if he decides to get rowdy, you want to shift up here some of the time. It gives you a little bit better control. Another guy on the other side, very easy to kick him out this way, okay? Most of the time, that's all you need. They will occasionally get rowdy, and in that case, trust your other member to be a little bit more experienced and to know what to do, or escalate, all right? I always want you guys to talk. Try to talk them down first, but if you can't, go to the partner restraints or go to these other restraints. Now, here's the second set of restraints. These are used for times when you're alone. You don't have a partner, okay? Try to avoid that, but you know, it might happen. So when you are alone, if you can't talk him down, but still not quite to that primal mode yet, there still might be a chance that he'll listen to you. This restraint works great. We're going to do it, come forward a little bit. Going to do it on this arm. Let's actually reverse position. I want you guys to focus on the right arm. Just worry about that one. You can do it on both arms, but if you're just learning this stuff, just focus on one arm, okay? Grab at the wrist, grab at the elbow, and really pull him back and get his arm up underneath and behind him, okay? Now you can actually release this arm and go around the neck, all right? Now if he decides to get uppity, I can squeeze at the neck and I can raise up at the shoulder, or up at the arm. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on his shoulder. It's also going to put some pressure on his neck. Go back. Here's the other important part about that. When we're grabbing and pulling, you're not stepping towards him, okay? You're not giving up your space. You're yanking and forcing him into your space, okay? It's a very primal, very dominant sort of thing. It's going to get the idea across that, look, you can fight, but it's going to be a terrible idea for you, okay? A very subtle thing. So first, work on just getting the arm in, get used to that, get around the neck, and work on hauling him out, right? But as you get better with it, start getting used to the idea of pulling them towards you, okay? Because again, it's going to communicate that primal, don't fuck with me sort of attitude. And that's exactly what you want. That's all we got for the solo restraint. Now we're on to strikes. Now if restraining doesn't work, if they're to that primal stage, or maybe you don't think you can do the restraint, then it's time to strike, okay? Now I don't want you guys to do striking right off. I want you to try the other things first, because strikes are very rarely needed, and when we do them, about 60 to 80% of the time we have to call the cops and get them involved. And it's a lot of paperwork and it's a huge hassle, and there's a good chance you might end up in court, either civil or criminal. So if we can avoid it, we want to, but if we can't, we can't. At the end of the day, what's most important is your safety, okay? So our first strike is just a palm strike. Now I want you to get used to the idea of kicking way back, okay? My hand is going up here, and his chin is along for the ride. I'm just going to bop it as I go back. Now don't actually do it to each other. But what it ends up looking like is, okay, so I'm going cop, I'm trying to talk him down. If I can't do it, right here, I'm stepping forward just a little bit so I can push up and kick the head all the way back, okay? Now we call the chin the button because it often leads to a knockout. Even if it doesn't, it's still going to rock his world. He's going to be pretty scared about it. And you might even do a couple of them, whatever. One is usually enough, and if that doesn't work or you don't feel confident in your ability to get it, just right to the nuts. Takes the fight out of anyone. Okay? Way to practice the chin strike, or the palm strike on your own. Go ahead and set your hand out about chin height, and you can strike it for yourself. Okay? Should make a good loud noise. You're looking to hit the bottom heel of your hand. And be careful around your fingers. You don't want them to get caught in anything. But get used to doing it a couple times. Maybe get used to doing it from a cop stance, right? From going cop. And that should be it. It'll keep you safe. Practice each of these techniques as much as you can, about at least 10 to 20 times, right now, and then maybe 10 to 20 times the day of. If you can get a partner, even better. Don't hit each other, of course, but you can still do the restraints with a partner and get used to it. If you practice that much, they'll be there for you when you need them. And again, remember, the most important tip I've ever gotten was to breathe, all right? Stay calm and breathe. Breathing will keep you safe, it'll make you able to think, and it'll keep you from freezing so much. Now with all this stuff, be sure not to go too far, because we did have one case about last year. Actually, one of the parties we're about to work tomorrow, it was the same party last year. We had one of our guys get hit, clocked right in the face, pissed him off. He's a cage fighter, so he's a very aggressive guy, and he got hit in the face. And as the guy hit him, he slipped and fell and knocked himself out. And our guy really wanted to hit him, but he knew he couldn't, okay? I need you all to have that type of restraint. Any club that hires you is going to need you to have that type of restraint to not go too far, okay? That's how you end up in jail. That's how you end up with lawsuits. We want to avoid both of those, and so do the people who hire you. Okay? I think that's all we got. That's 6 freaking awesome bouncer tips. Rock on.